A thriving artist is someone who can do their art very comfortably. Just the ability to enter that flow state. When you have that, hold on to that and keep it. I think that is thriving. When you don't have to be thinking, when you're not experiencing a heavy amount of writer's block, but you're radiating this energy, this incredible feeling of creativity. That to me is a thriving artist. Someone who is very, very rich in here in that way. Yeah. Feeling fulfilled in their heart and in their soul. And someone who's also very adventurous, who is curious, not necessarily even has to be pushing themselves to learn new things, but who is curious about other people's art because, influence is everything. So yeah, someone who can be in the flow state and who is curious at the same time. That to me is thriving.
Fork in the road between thriving and starving artists is where I'm at. I really like your work. I can't eat lights. I need new heights. Just want to make a living doing the work I love. Throw the notion of a starving artist out of the window. Take the elevator down to the ground floor and jump on it some more.
Hello and welcome to the Fork in the Road podcast. Today I am lucky enough to be speaking with musician Virg. I discovered her music after her duet that she did, collaboration she did with Torture Twin, Andrew Devon. And since then, been listening to your music quite a lot on Spotify. I'm not quite sure. That's probably not the best place to listen to your music. But anyway, I've been listening to it there and thoroughly enjoying it. How are you going today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Where did your music career start, do you think? Well, not your career, just your interest in music.
Oh my gosh, a long time ago. I started playing synthesizer when I was 3 years old. My dad had this keyboard that he liked to kind of take apart and tinker with, and I was really drawn to it. Actually, it's right here. The JXE
cool.
is my first synthesizer, and I'll never forget just like pressing one of the keys and it's like pew, the crazy sound, and it got me immediately, and I never went back and never did anything else.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So there was a bit of musical interest in your family as well, which kind of encouraged you, it sounded like.
My family are music appreciators. They have a great taste in music, and so that really helped curate what I listened to growing up. Lots of 80s, tons of 80s. My mom is from Italy and my dad's from Florida, and so I got the American influence and the European influence, so lots of synthesizers for sure.
Yeah, cool. And so that's the 80s music, that's what your parents were listening to as well?
Yeah, tons.
Yeah, and some in Italian as well. And you've got a new Italian single. Do you want to tell me a little bit more about the decision to create that song?
Oh, yes, thank you for listening. It's called Martini, and I wrote this with my good friends in Pleasure Business, which is another local band in downtown Leesburg where I live. Yeah, we got together and shared like a love of Italo disco and just disco music in general. And they sent me a demo, an instrumental demo, and I immediately sent back the lyrics and melody, and then we came together. In fact, the story I'm telling was about 3 years ago, maybe actually even 4 years ago. There's a little bug. And yeah, we got together again over the summer and retracked the synthesizers using real synths and synths from that era. And then we put the whole thing together, and now it's online, and I'm super excited because it's my first song in Italian, and Italian is one of my main languages, so it's great. It only took me almost 28 years to put out an Italian song, and the Italians seem to be liking it, so that's good.
Yeah, I was just about to say, how do you know how your Italian audience is responding? Are there ways that you can tell through streaming platforms and that as to whereabouts people in the world are listening to your music, or just by word of mouth?
It really depends. I have a hard time understanding the statistics on streaming platforms. I'm just not very in tune with how to do that kind of stuff. But I do get a main response off of YouTube and as well as Instagram. And so I'll get at least once a day now an Italian comment, and it really warms my heart. I'm so excited because being Italian is a huge part of my identity and who I am. And it's so fun to speak with other people that aren't just immediate family members, but to speak the language. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So with your music, you're saying you did this one with, is it called Pleasure Business? And you've also got Virg itself. Now, how do you operate as a musician? You've in terms of band members, and like, is Virg technically a band, or is it yourself, or and kind of how does it all work? Are you the main songwriter, or are you collaborating with other musicians? How's Virg set up?
Yeah, I am Virg. Virg is a solo project that I started in 2019, and it was kind of under the radar, just kind of putting out music for my friends. And then my friends downtown pushed me and inspired me, going, girl, you should really try to do this for real. So I put out another record as Virg that I wrote and recorded myself a couple years ago. And now I actually have a band, and they help accompany me creatively for the record that we're working on now. But Virg mainly is me. It's my solo project. I write the songs. I bring it to the band or whoever I'm working with, and then we kind of flush it out all together. And yeah, we have a good working relationship because I'll bring something, and then I trust them and their musicality so much, and they will come up with something, and then I'll go, oh, that's so cool, what if we did this? And then we kind of bounce ideas off of each other. Yeah.
No, that's interesting, because that was just a bit of an interesting way to kind of work out, because I could see that you had a band, because I know I spoke to Andrew Devon a few weeks ago from Torture Twin, and he's basically a solo musician, but he has other people that work on his music as well. So so it's probably a more independent way to go when you're like the creative driver, and then kind of arranging the band around that. That sounds like a good way to go. But with your collaboration, because you've got a few collaborations, not just with Torture Twin, what do you find are the benefits? What attracts you to doing those kinds of projects?
What attracts me to doing like a collaboration with someone?
Yeah.
I love working with other people. It's especially people who I'm inspired by. It's a lot of fun. Music is the language for me. Like, it is a way that I communicate with people, and I'll find certain musicians that I think to myself, wow, we've really got something here. I can feel we've got some musical chemistry. So that's usually how it'll go. Pretty selective with who I work with, just because it is very personal to me. So yeah, I approach it just in the same way that you would, I guess, approach like a friendship or so. Of like, I think we would work together nicely. I'm also like totally honored when somebody reaches out to me, because it feels nice that somebody appreciates what I'm doing. Like when Andrew reached out to me and sent me the song, I was totally elated. I was like so excited to work on it, and I think the next day I sent something back.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty efficient. That's pretty amazing when he was saying that you sent something back 24 hours. Man, that's pretty good. That's really the way you've got to work, isn't it?
It's so
I think
strange. Yeah, I work very fast. And I find that if I'm not feeling inspired by something within the first 24 hours, it's probably not going to happen. So honestly, I'll often go with my first instinct. So I'll load in someone's working demo in my Pro Tools and just record the very first instinct that pops in my head. So I'll take the microphone or the synth and just run it like 3 or 4 times. And if I don't like what I've come up with, I'm probably not going to work on it. Yeah. But if
Yeah.
if something pops out really fast, then it's go time.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's potentially a really good way, collaborations. I know just first thing that comes to mind is bands like the Gorillas and stuff like that, and also artists collaborate. It kind of opens your musical tastes and fields for the listeners as well, because I mean I found out about your music through Torture Twins. So like it's collaboration, I think for musicians is like a great way to kind of get your name out in other areas which might not know you.
Yeah. How do you asked me how I pick who I'm collaborating with. Do you have a process? Like, how do you decide who you're going to interview for your podcast?
It's interesting. I kind of, because I'm mainly based in Instagram because I'm a visual artist, but I'm also fascinated with how musicians work and how, kind of all fields of the arts work and how those people survive and thrive. And it's partly what the algorithm serves up to me, and it does tend to know my taste in music and my taste in art, and so I kind of occasionally will go down a rabbit hole here or there and find people that way. And I think it's another question I wanted to ask you actually, because back in the day I would go to an independent record store and I would find out about new musicians or whatever through the people that worked in the store. They knew what you liked. You'd go in and, you'd listen to albums and things like that. But the world has completely changed since then. It's all social media online. How do you find new people are finding your music? Where are they discovering you?
Where are they discovering me? I don't know. I think mainly I think a lot of it is luck. I know you can pay for like certain advertisements and things on different platforms, but that money runs out pretty quick. I got lucky with my song Deja Vu. It got picked up on, I believe it was Spotify's Discover Weekly, and it just pushed it. And it was just a thing of luck. I don't know how it happened. And then I think YouTube is a good tool. I think a lot of people find me on Instagram as well. I'm not very good at the TikTok. But I think in terms of like an in-person thing, I play a lot of shows. I play a lot of solo, and I play a lot of shows with my band or as a duo or as a trio. Just whenever I can, I'm playing out. And I love meeting people there, like at the show, and especially if it's a cool bill or a bill that is kind of hodgepodge, like different genres. I think that's where people find my music and buy my music. And if I in person, Bandcamp has been pretty successful for me as well. I love Bandcamp. That's my main streaming service, and or I guess main like music service. And then I do something similar when I'm on the road. I will stop into record stores and I'll ask the person behind the desk to pick out a record for me. So like, I don't know, maybe a quarter of my vinyl discography in my living room is from strangers all over the United States and Canada picking out records for me. And I just tell them, they'll go, what do you listen to? And I just say, whatever you listen to, just pick something for me. And I found some cool stuff.
Yeah. Is your musical taste fairly varied, or is it mainly like I can obviously see your 80s influence or hear your 80s influence, but is there any kind of other genres which kind of you listen to that we might not suspect?
I listen to a lot of funk. I grew up playing the saxophone. So when I like first started playing out, I started playing in bars when I was 12, and I started playing the saxophone around that same age. And I would play out at these bars, at these like jam band, open mic things, and a lot of it was jam band stuff, but a lot of it was funk. I had this like James Brown CD stuck in my car that wouldn't come in my car, and I listened to that CD every day for my entire high school experience, like since I got a car. Yeah, I listened to a lot of funk, and there's a lot of synthesizers in funk, especially the bass synth is pretty nice.
Yeah. So is that saxophone in the song of yours? Is it Junkyard? You've got saxophone
Yeah,
in?
yeah,
Yeah, so that's you, is it?
that's me. Yes.
Cool, cool. So you do obviously do that live when you're playing saxophone live on stage as well.
You would think that I do it with other people, but for the Virg set, there's so much happening. We're really like juggling a lot. So I don't have the opportunity yet to pick up the saxophone. I'd like to eventually, but for now, I'm just really using all of my limbs. It's difficult.
Yeah, yeah. No, that'd be pretty cool to go from singing to saxophone and back.
For
But
sure.
yeah, yeah. I'm wondering, so like this whole podcast is also about like the fork in the road between thriving and starving and thriving artists. And I'm just wondering, so you're on the road a lot across social media, you're selling, you're streaming your music, you're selling records as well. What is your kind of, if you were to do a top five or whatever, what things make the most money for you as a musician, and what things are kind of not very profitable at all? Because I want to kind of come up with this idea that I can kind of promote for musicians. Like if you like a musician, this is how you should really support them. Otherwise, because I know like streaming services like Spotify, it might be good for getting your name out, or if you get featured on a playlist or something like that. But if you rely on income from them, you might be very poor.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are you finding works best for you?
Well, so you're asking what makes the most money as a musician currently for me right now? Like what?
Yeah, as a musician, yeah.
Definitely Bandcamp, buying my
Hmm.
CD either digitally and donating or buying the actual physical copy helps me a lot. It's the most money I'll make off of what I'm putting out. At the same time, streaming my music does help, not necessarily directly with the money, but what it does is it allows me to get paid attention to by booking agents. Because if I don't have a lot of
Yeah,
streams, unfortunately, it's just the reality of the situation. They won't pay attention. So it indirectly helps sustain my career.
Just a quick intermission to say that the Fork in the Road podcast has a Patreon as well, where you get a whole bunch of special things. You get an extended hour-long advert-free things, like you get to ask the podcast guests questions. You get a blog where I deep dive things which, might help make you successful and me successful, because I'm learning along the way too. You can also chat with me one-on-one and talk about your art business and make it work together. Back to the interview.
going back to some of the technicalities of songs, I'm just wondering. It's one thing I always wondered as a music fan, but I love music, but I'm terrible at playing anything. But when there are things like collaborations, or when you're doing a cover of a song or whatever, how do you work? Like, is there a royalty payment, or do you split payments between? Is it some kind of deal or contract you have to work out? But, I imagine it
Mhm.
can get quite messy when you're having to pay the bills at the end of a month, when it comes in of certain amounts of streaming or what have you. So how do you figure all that stuff out?
It depends on the artist I'm working with. So some people will right off the bat let me know, I only want this, and it's going to be, let's say, a 30-70 split. Then I just understand that, like, no problem. I personally am under the mentality of 50%, like a even
Hmm.
split no matter what. So if I'm proposing a song, I will just right off the bat immediately let them know, hey, I'm going to do this evenly. And then if the band itself is collaborating with someone and it's split, the way I'll do it is, let's say it's 50-50. The artist we're collaborating with will get 50%, and then Virg, the four of us, will split up that 50%.
Hmm.
But it really depends on the artist, because sometimes, and especially if like labels and yeah, if a label is involved, then they also take a cut. it kind of, yeah, it depends. And then for my stuff, because I split things evenly, we just have like an agreement where they can go through like a portal and collect their royalty, but it just like
Mm-hmm.
feeds in. I think I think it's biannual. It feeds in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it depends.
Yeah. Yeah. And what kind of, if you do a version, what kind of, do you have to get in contact with the license holders of the original song, and how does all that work?
Yeah, see, the Making Plans for Nigel was the first cover I'd uploaded to streaming services. So that was my first time dealing with something like that. Because on YouTube, they already know. They hear it. They're like, this is a cover. We are
Yeah.
collecting all of the royalties on this, no matter what. And I'm just like, I'm trying to make a cool video, so I don't care. But yeah, so I had to submit to something. There's like some website, and I had to put in the thing, and I had to pay a fee. And I think I could pick if I wanted it for 2 years, 5 years, or forever. And I picked whatever the forever was, and I paid to have that song under my name for that. And then it took a couple of days. They had to approve it, and I don't know who that goes to. It goes to somebody behind a computer who decides whether the song lives or dies, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if the original band members get to hear about it at all, or
I don't
anything
know.
like that. Yeah.
No, because I've had in the past people cover my music, and I'll just find it. I'll just happen to, I'll be scrolling, and then I'll be like, that's my song. So I don't know. I'm appreciative though. I mean, I don't even care if they give credit or don't give credit. I'm just excited that somebody likes it so much that they want to play it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. So with all this thing of, ownership and copyrights and things like that, how do you, what are your thoughts on, because I know some services have now, got the dreaded AI in there, and you're signing away your intellectual property just by having your music on the service. Is there anything you can do about that, or what are your thoughts? Because I know some musicians who can maybe afford to have just gone, like Spotify, sorry, see you, you're gone. Most musicians can't afford to do that, make that kind of a move. So yeah, what are your thoughts going forward in terms of ownership of your music and letting the world know that, yeah, this song is yours. It's not someone else's, or that riff is mine, or whatever.
Yeah. I think about this a lot. As you said, I'm in no place to be able to confidently pull my music from those streaming services, because they are the biggest streaming services. And I mean, me pulling my music off of there is going to make my career very difficult to sustain, because it's going to take a large wave of very famous people to pull out of that service to make a dent, because people are lazy and they don't want to switch services. Yeah, I do not like AI at all. I've never used it. I've never logged into ChatGPT or whatever it is, like all this stuff. I have never ever used it. If I have a question, I will ask somebody. Stranger, I will call somebody. Now Google has the AI thing, and I don't even look at it. I have no interest in this thing that's supposed to make our lives easier, because what is the point of living if there is no mystery? Like I want the mystery. I don't have the answer to this question, so I'm gonna go call my friend or ask my roommate or whatever. I don't know how to do this thing, so I'm gonna call my parents, and then I get to talk to my parents. Yeah, and now it's in music, and because people don't, I just think fundamentally there's a large group of people in this world that don't really care where they get their music from. It's just not something they think about. And although that's something that I don't understand, that is is a reality and something that I'm learning to face. And I mean, it's all over the place. I know it's a very high percentage of music that is now AI. In fact, somebody sent me, I forgot about this. My bandmate sent me a Reddit thread that was an AI generated photo of me with Michael Jackson. And it said, if Michael Jackson were alive today, do you think he would like Virg? And it's like an AI image of me playing the keyboard with Michael Jackson. And I was just like staring at this thing like, what is this? There's so many layers to this. One, why Michael Jackson? And two, why me? And three, why us together? It was just the most absurd thing. And I think in that moment I realized I have absolutely no control over what is done with the identity of me and my music. And now AI is combing through my music and everyone else's music and training other AI models. So although it is frustrating, and there will always be a group of people who don't care and they'll use it, I believe in human connection and the human experience. And I just am holding out hope that I really do think people are going to say enough is enough. And I think it'll be even bigger than pulling out of streaming services. I think it'll go all the way down to community and like walking out the door and talking to a stranger. Like I really do feel that something like this, where although it seems small, of like AI is training a module off of music that people are making, will ripple into a bigger bubble of everybody kind of feeling, who am I? What am I training right now? The only thing I have control over is what I do with myself and with my body. And I'm going to go learn a new skill. I'm going to go talk to a stranger, or I'm going to go do that thing on my own that I've been wanting to do, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think it is an unstoppable force, this AI thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. It is going to swing back, though. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for people to get over it and bored of it.
Yeah.
Because it's so extreme and it can do everything. It can make films, make music. People aren't going to know what's real anymore, all our news sources, because I don't know about you, but people that I know don't really watch the news anymore on TV. They find their news on Reels and TikToks and things like that. And when fake news can be created so easily, you're just going to be, what am I even looking at this stuff for? It's just junk that doesn't inform me about anything. And I'm hoping that people are going to go back to, I think the swing is going to be major. I think the swing is going to be going like right back to, like live performances, and for artists to have like, an open studio and things like this, things which actually, where you can see it happening and you can hear the story behind it and all that kind of thing. I think that's going to be, what's valuable for artists in the future, just to prove that you haven't been churned out by the machine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know. It might even be like a generational thing. It might take a few generations for it to like fully swing. But yeah, I am holding out hope. I really do feel like humans want to feel connected. We want peace. We want to feel loved and to learn and to grow. And these tools that are taking that away from us, not to even dive into taking away our attention span, because that's a huge thing with music as well. I think there'll be a swing. I think people will start to, I think mental illness is going to climb with the rise of AI, which is concerning. And so I just think we need to like really focus on what we can do without that computer in our pocket.
Yeah. And how we can also make a living as artists in amongst that. Like how can we compete with that? Or, Or how
I
can it help us? Maybe it can help us in some ways. I know for me it can help in terms of writing copy and what have you for descriptions for videos and photos and things like
hmm
that. Cuts
hmm
my time down, but it's finding that balance and finding what
I think it can
really.
be great. Like, although I have not used it, I know a lot of people who use it for that kind of stuff. It cuts their time down and it helps them, but they're still doing something creative with it.
Mhm. At the
And
center.
yeah, I'm not saying my way is the way because I'm like a dinosaur with everything. Like I said, I'm very out of the loop on a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think if it can be used in a productive way that doesn't get rid of your creativity or the spark of learning something or finding out how to do something on your own or by asking for help or buying a book. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Fork in the Road podcast or watching the Fork in the Road podcast. For those people watching on Patreon, we also have it as a video on Spotify and YouTube. If you like the idea of chatting with artists, talking about how you go from starving to thriving, how you become a successful artist, whatever that means to you, whatever a thriving artist means. If you like this kind of thing, you can support the podcast in many ways. Apart from becoming a Patreon, you can just share it with your friends, or you could leave a review on iTunes. I think iTunes do review. Whoever does reviews, if you look in your podcast channel, if it allows you to do a review, or if you're watching on YouTube, please comment, please like. And I won't be one of those podcasts that go, you got to give a 5-star review. If there's something about the podcast you don't like, let me know. Write it in the comments and see if I can, tweak it a little bit to make it work better for everybody. But yeah, 5-star review would be pretty awesome. But anyway, check you next time.